Hello, Spartans. Happy April 10th, Monday, April 10th. Obviously, I told you last week on Friday that I was out of the building today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Obviously, I'm with the golf team in Arizona where it's supposed to be somewhere in the 90s today. Sorry, I am not sorry. But here's the agenda for the week. Here's the agenda for when I'm gone. It's pretty straightforward. You got a few things to work on. Should have plenty of time to complete these tasks. The first thing, while you're watching the video, the first thing that should be done by now is the Chapter 3 Reading Guide questions 7 through 16. If you have not done that, you should pause the video, go read that section, answer the questions so you have a little bit of a better understanding of what it is that I'm talking about. When you're done with 7 through 16 and you're done getting the notes down, and again, it's a video, so you can pause it at any point in time to do what you need to do. When you're done with the questions and done getting the notes, then you should begin working on your group project. And again, I'll explain the group project, even though I explained it on Friday. I'll explain the group project at the end, but that is what you're going to be working on the rest of Monday, all day tomorrow, and on Wednesday. Is putting together, we're conducting your research and then putting together your slides. We'll start presentations. We'll start presentations on Thursday this week. But assuming you've done the questions, let's go ahead and jump into the notes here. Norms. All right. Norms are what we do in society. Why we wear two shoes, why our shoes are matching, why we don't wear socks with sandals, why we don't tuck our pants into our socks, why we take a shower each day, why we wash our hands after we go to the bathroom. These are all the things that we do in society. And these are all classified in a broad umbrella called norms, right? These are the normal things that we do. Oftentimes, our norms are unwritten, right? These are unwritten rules. Some norms are more serious than others, and thus they are codified or they are written down on paper. We call them laws. But norms are more or less the rules of our society, right? These norms explain why people who are all different in the same society do the same thing. Why do we offer a handshake when we meet someone or do we see someone? Why do we all say goodbye? Why does your generation know what finna means? Dumbest thing ever. These are norms. Apparently, it's normal for your generation to take two words that mean nothing, what the slang term does, and you find it acceptable. I don't know. But our norms are our norms are the rules to society. Sometimes they are written, sometimes they are not written. Our norms or our rules of society are broken into 4 categories. Your book says 3. I disagree with that. I think it's easier for you to understand 4. All right, there are 4 categories for our norms. One is folkways. Folkways are norms that are, they're just rules. There's really no rhyme or reason to it, right? It's not based on morality. That would be a more. These are just what we think. This is what we've agreed upon that we do. Again, turning around in an elevator, turning your lights off when you're not home, brushing your teeth 2 times a day, showering once a day, wearing matching socks, wearing matching shoes, right? These aren't laws. These aren't based on morality. All right. It's a folkway. It is just kind of a shared belief on what should be done. Next up, probably a little bit more stringent, are the norms based on morality. We call these mores. This is based on right and wrong, good and bad, ethical, unethical. All right. And as we go through these different categories of norms, the acceptance of breaking the norms actually decreases, right? You're not going to face a lot of sanction or reprimand if you violate a folkway. If you walk into an elevator and not turn around, if you don't offer a handshake when you meet somebody, if you don't say hello when someone says hello to you in first greeting, I mean, you might get some sort of sanction. You might have some sort of penalty. but nothing too serious. Mores, again, based on morality, picking on someone, calling someone names, those might solicit a little bit harsher of a response. But folkways are a shared belief, common opinion. Mores are the rules that we have in society based on morality. Again, right versus wrong, good versus bad. Next up, we have taboos. All right, taboos, technically, yes, they're based on morality. But again, the expectation that you follow those norms is a little bit more heightened, right? When you violate a norm that is considered to be taboo, the consequence for that, the sanction for that is much more extreme. Think about what would be a good example? Dating your best friend's ex-girlfriend or your best friend's ex-boyfriend, or making fun of someone who has a mental or physical handicap, or calling someone a name that is racially motivated. The sanctions, the response that those violations receive is much more extreme than violating a more or violating a taboo, or sorry, violating a folkway, right? If you cheat on a test, I don't know, I would imagine your teacher and your parents might have some pretty harsh sanctions, but your friends may not. If you don't wash your hands after going to the bathroom, right, I don't think you're going to get the same response as if you commit a taboo, right? Making fun of somebody in a wheelchair. The sanctions are different, right? As we go through these different types of categories, the consequence of violating that norm becomes much more heightened. Again, folkways, what we believe, it's just what we do, oftentimes unwritten. Mores, what we do based on morality. Taboo, right? What we do because we think it's really wrong if you don't. It's really bad. And then finally, we have, in this particular case, the norms of society or the rules of society that are actually written down. It is agreed upon in our society that if you do this, if you violate this rule, if you violate this norm, then this is the consequence. There is no choice of whether or not people sanction it or reply to it or respond to it. Nope, it's guaranteed. If you murder someone, you're going to prison. If you assault someone, X consequence, right? It's written down. They're all the rules of society. They're just in a various stage of category. Folkways, not that serious, oftentimes unwritten. Mores, again, are rules to society that are based on our morality. Taboo, all right, serious rules, because they're either oftentimes they're a huge violation of what we determine to be moral or immoral. And then finally, laws. Again, these are things that are written, they're codified in law. All right. A violation is pretty straightforward, right? You guys know what violation means. It means when you break the rule. You can violate a folkway, right? You cannot wash your hands after you go to the bathroom. You can violate a moray. You can make fun of someone who has a learning disability. You can violate a taboo, right? You can violate a norm. You can make someone who is physically handicapped, or you can call someone a racial slur. You can murder someone. That's against the law. You can violate any of these. The response to them, though, is completely different. The response continuously increases as you move through those norms. The responses are what we call sanctions. A violation is when you break the rule. A sanction is the response. A sanction can be both positive and negative. Sanction can be a reward. A sanction can be a consequence. Think about this. I'm sure you guys growing up, you received something for doing what you were supposed to do. We would call this the token system. Maybe you got to have an extra cookie after you cleaned your room, or maybe you got to go to a movie if you mowed the lawn, whatever it is. Some people were sanctioned with a reward for doing what they were supposed to do. Some people were sanctioned with a consequence for not doing what they were supposed to do. I was in the latter end. If I didn't do what I was supposed to do, there was holy hell to pay with my parents. I didn't get a reward for doing what I was supposed to do because you're supposed to do it, but that's neither here nor there. All right. Sanctions can be positive, a reward. Sanctions can be negative, a consequence, but they are to enforce the rules of society, regardless if it is a folkway or a moray or a taboo or a law. They can be positive or negative. Well, let's be honest. If you violate the law, I'm pretty sure you're getting a negative consequence for that. So let's just go ahead and put that one to rest. Your sanctions can be formal or informal. All right. And this is all based on who is the one doling out the rewards or a punishment. Right. So this goes back to one of our earlier concepts from sociology, where you sit in the social structure. If you have superiors and the sanction is coming from them, then it is a formal sanction. If the sanction is coming from those inferior to you, so those below you in the social structure, then it or of equal standing with you, then it is an informal sanction. All right. The only difference for sanctions is who is giving it to you. Formal would be someone official, someone with standing. All right. Someone with a title above you. So in school, it could be the principal, could be a teacher, could be a para. Right. And even in between there's some headway. I mean, if you get a sanction from a principal versus a para, right, it carries a little bit more weight. It's an informal sanction if it comes from someone of your standing or beneath you. So if you don't wash your hands after you relieve yourself in the restroom and a classmate says, what the hell is your problem? That's disgusting. That's nasty. That's wretched. Then that's an informal sanction. All right. If Sakela walks into the bathroom and you haven't washed your hands, and he said, "Sweet Mary Mother of God, that's disgusting." That makes it informal. Sorry, that makes it formal. The sanction can be the exact same. But if it comes from a person with designated title and authority, then it's formal. If it comes from somebody who's nothing, then it's informal. Let's talk about our career project. All right. And again, this is just a review. I explained this to you on Friday, but you're going to get into groups, right? 3 to 5 people. All right. This isn't an assessment score. It's going in your test grade. So this should be pretty straightforward with enough reward for you to do it. All right. To fulfill the norm of doing your assignments. You are going to pick one environment that you and each member of your group are going to conduct an experiment. The environment can be at school. The environment can be at home. Don't really care. Maybe the environment's at baseball practice. 0 cares given. But pick one environment. All right. Maybe it's the cafeteria. Maybe it's the bathroom. Maybe it's the hallway. Pick one environment. Each person is going to conduct the experiment at a different time. You can't all do it at once. You will pick the environment. You will each conduct your own experiment in that environment. You will each pick the same norm to violate. Maybe it's walking down the opposite side of the hallway. Maybe it's wearing mismatched shoes or socks, or maybe you're wearing your clothes inside out or upside down or backwards. 0 cares given. You will pick one environment. You will each conduct an experiment in that environment. Your experiment will be conducting the same violation of the norm. So if it's the shoes, if it's a hat, whatever it is, you'll each do it. And each of you will record the observations that you have from violating that same norm in the same environment. You will need to, all right, classify the norm that was violated. You're going to tell me what you did, right? I walked backwards down the hallway. I rollerbladed down the stairs, whatever it is, don't care. You will classify that norm that was violated as a folkway, a mores, a taboo, or a law. Now let's just go ahead and nip something here in the bud. We're not violating any laws, and we're not violating any taboos, and we're not going to violate any mores. So let's just keep these things to folkways. That way I don't end up in human resources when I get back on Wednesday. Check that. When I get back on Thursday. You're going to pick a folkway to violate. Then you're going to classify the sanction. Is your sanction that you received formal or informal? Did it come from a person of your same social standing, or did it come from an official, formal or informal? Project is worth 30 points. You get 10 points for your presentations being organized and error-free, right? You should have a particular set of slides. You should have a introductory slide with your names on it. And obviously you'll share it with me. You'll have a concluding slide, right? The last slide. Thank you for watching. Give me something special. I don't know. The slides in between are going to be dependent on the number of people in your groups. You'll identify the environment. You'll identify the rule that you broke. You'll classify the rule or the norm that you broke as folkway, mores, taboos, or laws. Please don't break any laws. And then you'll have a slide for each person in your group that documents the observations, what was the response, and whether or not what those responses were formal or informal. Slides should be error-free. They should be written in a text large enough for people to be able to read it from a variety of positions around the classroom. And there should be a picture, some sort of visual stimulation for people to look at while you're talking and while you're explaining what you saw. Bonus points for anybody that gets a video recording of themselves violating the norm and the response. Again, school appropriate. If you think this is some sort of golden ticket to cause this chaos and disruption throughout the school, let me assure you, you are sadly mistaken. The rest of the points based on your presentation being rehearsed and professional. And obviously the last one, yes. A 30-year grade is whether or not this is school appropriate. So let's just keep that in mind. Again, this week, pretty straightforward here. 7 through 16, you should do that first. Finish the notes, and then obviously you have the rest of the time to work on your career project. You've got a couple of days, right? So you can use that class time to get organized, your environment, the norm that you're going to break, right? You can set up your slides so you can conduct your research and then get those things all into your slides before Thursday. We will start right away on Thursday. You know how the situation works in my class. If you're one of the first groups to present, you obviously get extra credit. If no one volunteers, then I start randomly calling people. If you're not ready to go, you are losing percentage points. And because I've given you time in class to work on this, if you're not ready to go, when it's time to go, then you're giving up a significant portion of your potential points to earn. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. I will be responding to them. I will be checking that throughout the week. Albeit though, I'm 2 hours behind you, so it will be a touch later in the day to get back to you. Unless you send it in the morning, then I'll get it right away. But if you have a question, shoot me an email. This is what you're working on this week. Have fun. Enjoy the I don't know, mid temperatures, the mid 50s, and I'll see you guys on Thursday this week. Go Spartans.